Okay, so why am I doing this channel? I'm a dentist in the US and I suffer from sleep apnea, well, sleep disordered breathing. And I think that there is still a lot of room for improvement for better diagnosing and treatments for sleep apnea, specifically the tongue, an area that I believe a lot of room for improvement. This video content is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, and I'm sure there will be mistakes. I just talk about sleep apnea according to my understanding, but I'm sure there are holes in my understanding, so that there's that little proviso. So I need a lot more traction on this channel. If anyone knows somebody else who's doing this, trying to improve diagnosing and treatment for sleep apnea, please let me know, and I'll just quit my channel. But as far as I know, there's not anybody or very few people who are trying really hard to improve treatments and diagnosing of sleep apnea. So let me know in the comment section, and I need more traction, like I said. So please subscribe to this channel, like this channel. If you're having good results with sleep apnea, like your CPAP's working great, then there's no real reason to watch this channel. But if you're not, and you want to see improvements, then please subscribe and like, or tell me somebody else who's doing this better than I am, and I'll quit the channel and I'll go help somebody else to do a better job. So anyway, that's why I'm doing the channel. So I wanted to just talk about some of the tongue procedures, because like I say, I think tongue, I'll probably eventually get to the other things like the nose and stuff like that, but I think there's a lot of room for improvement with the tongue. So I wanted to show this website, Dr. Eric Kazarian. I have met him. He's done several procedures on me. I think he's a good guy. I think he's good at what he does. So he has a spot on his website where he talks about tongue procedures for sleep apnea. Epiglottis surgery, I'm kind of not counting that as tongue. I mean, it's the tongue area. But genioglossus advancement, I think is I haven't had it done on myself, but from what little I know, it seems like a good idea. So basically, the tongue attaches to this bone, and when you move this bone, like I guess perpendicular to how it was, and the tongue's attached to this area of bone, then you are moving that attachment, whatever the thickness of this bone is. I'm just going to guess 8 millimeters. That's a total guess. The bigger it is, the better in terms of moving that tongue forward. But the idea is the further you move that attachment forward, the more kind of pull it has on the tongue, so it's going to fall back and fall down less than it is. So that's the idea of how it's going to help. I'm going to go back here. Hyoid suspension, I really don't know that much about it. Lingual tonsillectomy, I don't really know that much about that either. Midline glossectomy, you're just basically making the tongue smaller. So you cut a section out of this tongue. I guess most of the tongue some of the tongue procedures are all about making the tongue smaller. So you cut out this section of the tongue. Generally, the middle part of the tongue doesn't have a lot of nerves or arteries to worry about. So you can just kind of cut it out, make it smaller. You can see how the tongue got a lot smaller. So therefore, it's not as crowded by the teeth and stuff. So it fits better into the space. And the idea is that it's going to fall back less if it has the space that it needs. Now, I'm not entirely sure that that's going to work for everybody, because I think for some people, if when they're in REM sleep or really relaxed sleep, maybe deep sleep, kind of no matter how small you make it or how much space it has, if it has no tone in REM sleep, I still think it can fall back. And if anyone knows better than me about this, please comment in the comments section. But it makes sense to me that if you create more space or make it smaller, it's going to improve things. But I don't see that it's going to be a cure for most people, like basically fix the problem entirely, because if it has no tone, it can still fall back, in my mind. Now going back, and then tongue radiofrequency. Now I did have this procedure, and I'll just tell you the experience I had. So he talks about how he's worked with several doctors to try to improve this procedure, and basically you are intentionally harming the tongue. and creating some scar tissue. And then I guess the scar tissue resorbs, and so again the tongue gets smaller. Now you're supposed to have 2 or 3 treatments for this, and I only had one. And the reason I only had one is that when he was doing I think it was my right side, I forget, it damaged a nerve in my tongue. And apparently it's not like unheard of, but it's not very common. Obviously he was trying not to do it, and I don't fault him for it. But it damaged a nerve in my tongue. And so for a week or two, every time I would stick out my tongue, it would deviate way to the side. It was very weird. Like I would stick out my tongue and it wouldn't go straight out. It would go straight to the side. And this, I guess, kind of spooked Dr. Kazarian, or just uncomfortable. He wanted to wait until it fully healed. And he kept asking for more videos of me sticking out the tongue, and he wasn't satisfied that it was fully healed. And I got so impatient because I just really wanted to get all the treatment I could get. So then I went and got the jaw advancement surgery. Gosh, I guess he doesn't even show this, but I had jaw advancement surgery, and it makes the mandible, the lower jaw, longer. You just make an intentional cut. You move part of the front part of the mandible forward, and then you screw it into place with screws and plate, and then you just let it heal. And you also do a procedure called, I think it's called the Lefort 1 on the maxilla, the upper jaw, and you move that jaw forward too. The idea being that it's going to move all that soft tissue, the uvula and the soft palate forward, which increases the chances that upper airway will remain patent, will remain open during deep sleep and REM sleep. And I'm also not sure that works all the time, because again, if it really relaxes, I think it can still close up that space, like the soft palate can still close. And so I have also had a palate procedure, which I guess I will talk about in a different video. But all the surgeries I've had, first I had a sleep endoscopy, which is they kind of put you to sleep using propofol. It's kind of fake sleep. And there are definitely people who have criticized the procedure because it's fake sleep instead of real sleep. But it's propofol. And then they see what happens. They relax you as if you were asleep, and they see what happens to your airway. And I've had that procedure. Dr. Kazarian did that procedure. I think he did a good job. And I will probably show that video of my own airway so you can see what happens. But basically it showed that my palate collapses, and my tongue and my palate are big issues for my own sleep disordered breathing. So I've had palate procedure, 1 round of tongue radiofrequency where I should have had 2 or 3, and MMA surgery. And I had my MMA surgery like 5 or 6 months ago. And supposedly it takes, a good 6 months to get the full effect. But I would say that I am definitely not cured. I have definitely noticed improvements. But I'm going to go back here. So the surgeries I've had. Oh, I also wanted to just point out this video. This guy, let's see if you can see his. Okay, so you can see there at the bottom. Oh gosh. You can see there at the bottom, Dr. Derek Steinbacher. If you can't find, you should be able to find this 10 things to know about orthognathic jaw surgery. I looked at it. I thought he did a really good job. And one thing he talks about that I did not expect, he talks about how jaw surgery will change your nose. And believe me, it has changed my nose. And that's the thing that I am least happy with. I was very happy with my nose. And now it's kind of made it a lot, it's made the nostrils a lot bigger. Not used to it. I don't really think it looks good. I think it looked better the way it was. But anyway. So then things I'm doing, I use the BiPAP every night. And so, yes, I do criticize the CPAP because I do not think it's strong enough to hold the tongue. The tongue only weighs like 0.15 pounds. So it is not a heavy thing. It's less heavy than a banana, just to give kind of some perspective. So less heavy than a banana, but I don't think a puff of air, and I've read things that say that a puff of air is not going to hold the banana. If it's got the full gravity on it, it's not going to hold that tongue up. And so as the tongue starts to slide backwards, you're going to have an arousal, which means your mind has to wake up, which disrupts sleep, and then to pull that tongue forward. And then that brain's going to go back to sleep, so to speak. And then that tongue's going to start sliding right back. So it's doing this, lots of times during the night, and it's just making it really bad. I do a mandibular advancement device every night. So I'm pulling that jaw. My jaw's already forward, and I'm pulling it even further forward. I tape my mouth shut most nights, which you'll probably see in other forums and YouTube videos suggesting. I'm not sure if that helps or not. It kind of makes sense to me, especially since I'm using the BiPAP. I don't want that air escaping out my mouth. It seems like it could either the noise, if it does make a noise, which I'm not sure it does, because sometimes I'll open my mouth on purpose with the CPAP and I don't really hear anything. But the idea being that the air escaping is going to screw up that pressure it's trying to build and possibly make noise that could wake up your mind. And also, this is the hardest, I sleep on my stomach, which I don't mind, but my back, I wake up in the morning and my back hurts. When I was young, I could do it and it didn't matter. But now, and I'm doing strength training for my back. I'm doing something called foundation training, if you want to search it. But if anyone has any good ideas for how to prevent back pain when you sleep on your stomach, because I do feel like it helps. And the idea being so that the tongue has gravity working to keep it out of the airway when you're sleeping on your stomach. If you're sleeping on your back, gravity's pulling it into your airway. So I do this every night. I believe it makes a big difference. And if anyone has any techniques for how to prevent back pain while you're sleeping on your stomach, that would be great. And and so anyone who thinks, oh gosh, he's gone through all these surgeries and he hasn't had any benefit whatsoever, fortunately, I think I can say with quite a lot of certainty that I have had improvements. With these two surgeries right here, I'm not sure it made any difference at all. I can't say that for certain. I certainly didn't notice any for sure things where I can say with 100% or very high degree of certainty that it helped. But now that I've had MMA and so I've had all these 3 surgeries and I'm doing all these things, and I definitely can say I'm having improvements, and it's very tangible, objective things. Like, just for instance, one of the big signs of sleep apnea is either bedwetting for kids or waking up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom for adults. And I've been doing that the second, waking up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night since high school. At least high school, I can remember that. Maybe even further back. So basically a long time I've been waking up in the middle of the night, and I am still waking up in the middle of the night, but I no longer need to go to the bathroom. It's been kind of weird, just decades of going to the bathroom every night in the middle of the night. And now, unfortunately, I still wake up, which is part of the reason why I think I'm not cured. But I no longer need to go to the bathroom, which is nice, because it kind of disrupts sleep to get up and go to the bathroom and come back. So that's all I've got for today. Again, I will gladly end this channel. If anyone knows of someone else who is pursuing better treatments, better diagnosing for sleep apnea, I will quit this channel and join them, help them. Otherwise, please subscribe and like this channel so I can get some more eyeballs watching these videos, and the goal being so that we can help out more people, because I know that many, many people are suffering, and since I know what it's like, I would really love to help these people.